Breaking news that I want to cover: Republican vice presidential candidate JD Vance left his Venmo public. Here's what it shows. The Republican VP nominee's Venmo network reveals connections ranging from the architects of Project 2025 to enemies of Donald Trump, and the populist's close ties to the very elites he rails against. The interesting and also disgusting thing about JD Vance is that he seemed to be intelligent at one point. Back in 2015, 2016, he wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy that was actually insightful. It had a lot of depth. He also called himself a never-Trumper. He railed against Trump and said he could be America's Hitler. And maybe he had such a keen awareness of the political landscape that he realized jumping at the opportunity to be MAGA would get him where he is today. But at one point, he seemed to actually be intelligent. One of his trans friends told a story. Apparently, his trans friend got surgery, and JD Vance brought them cookies afterwards to celebrate. He used to be a decent guy, but he lost all of his morals, he lost everything, and sold himself out to MAGA. U.S. Senator JD Vance, an Ohio Republican and former U.S. President Donald Trump's pick for vice president, has a public Venmo account that gives an unfiltered glimpse into his extensive network of connections with establishment GOP heavyweights, wealthy financiers, technology executives, the prestige press, and fellow graduates at Yale Law School. Precisely the elites he rails against. JD Vance and Donald Trump both play the same game where they act like they are just one of us. They are one of the common people. They are just for the workers, when in reality, they are the very elites they rail against. They are the establishment. JD Vance, at least, is a tech bro. Donald Trump flies around in private jets and was born rich. He doesn't know what it's like to be the common American citizen whatsoever. A Wired analysis of the account, the people listed as Vance's friends, and in turn the people listed as their friends, highlights sometimes bizarre and surprising connections. More than 200 people appear on Vance's Venmo friends list. Among them is Amalia Halikias, a government relations director at the Heritage Foundation, the conservative think tank coordinating the controversial Project 2025. And ever since the assassination, or the attempted assassination, of former President Donald Trump, we've kind of stopped talking about Project 2025, but we cannot forget about it. It is the Heritage Foundation's plan to strip the checks and balances away from the executive branch. Donald Trump would have unfettered power to do whatever he wants with the backing of the Supreme Court. Donald Trump claims he has no connection to the Heritage Foundation, but he is friends with the president. He has referenced them multiple times. He has said they guide his policy, and he enacted 64% of their policy recommendations during the first year of his first term. So he absolutely has connections to them. So is an assistant attorney for the Southern District of New York, among many other lawyers for the Department of Justice, frequently decried by Trump loyalists as enemies and part of the deep state. Those are people that are friends of JD Vance on Venmo, people that Donald Trump calls the deep state. So are Jeff Flake, the famously anti-Trump former Arizona senator and current ambassador to Turkey, lobbyists from organizations like the Government Strategies Group, people affiliated with other conservative think tanks like the Hoover Institution and the American Enterprise Institute, journalists and media personalities that are far right like Bari Weiss and former Fox News host Tucker Carlson, and tech executives from Anthropic and AOL. So again, JD Vance is incredibly well connected. Even though he constantly rails against the elites, he is one. He is an elite just like Donald Trump. And also, they try to distance themselves, Donald Trump and JD Vance, from the Heritage Foundation and from Project 2025 only because it hit the national stage and people actually started paying attention. They thought that it would fly under the radar and they'd be able to enact it with nobody resisting, but that did not happen. Even the president of the Heritage Foundation came out and said the second revolution will be bloodless if the left allows it to be, meaning they thought they could have a silent coup, a silent revolution of our government without anybody really realizing, and there still is the possibility if we don't go vote in November. To continue the article, Lanny Davis, a well-known political operative and former lawyer for Trump antagonist Michael Cohen, is among those who denied being Venmo friends with Vance despite seemingly appearing in Vance's contacts. The article describes how just because two people are friends on Venmo doesn't mean they add each other, it means they have each other's contacts or their phone numbers. According to Venmo, when someone first uses the app, they are prompted to allow it to access their phone contacts. If they agree, Venmo will find any contacts already using the app and automatically populate the user's friends list. So that means these people have each other's phone numbers as well. Vance's Venmo account was first discovered by a law enforcement and extremism researcher who asked to remain anonymous, citing security concerns. Wired verified the senator's account through its connections to his wife, Usha Vance, as well as actors or producers in the 2020 film adaptation of his 2016 memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. ideology. In total, Vance is connected directly to 211 people. And remember, Republicans on Twitter were railing against JD Vance and railing against Donald Trump for choosing JD Vance because his wife is Indian American. They do not like diversity, or people on the far right don't like diversity. Let's say if the Republican Party as a whole, 30% of them are on this far right Nick Fuentes type thing where they just hate all diversity, and we see it on Twitter. There were people at the RNC like Amber Rose who gave speeches, and people on Twitter were not happy about it. On Monday, Trump officially named Vance as his pick for vice president, reflecting the prominence of the party's growing populist wing. Vance has frequently positioned himself as anti-elite, writing in Hillbilly Elegy, quote, "Sometimes I view members of the elite with an almost primal scorn." In an April post on X, Vance, who graduated Yale Law School in 2013, condemned elite universities, calling them expensive daycare centers for coddled children. His network is largely made up of attorneys, the vast majority of them who received their degrees from Yale Law School around the same time he did. Republican hypocrisy is next level, and JD Vance isn't even trying to hide it. In one breath, he will say that elite universities are terrible, and the next breath, he goes to Yale Law School and will probably send his children to elite university as well, because he understands that is how you have the best future. I think Republicans are slimy, but what's even more slimy is when you're an intelligent person like Vivek Ramaswamy. You can tell that he's a smart person, but he puts on this facade. He has enough intelligence to understand that he can lunge at this MAGA opportunity, this MAGA movement, and capitalize off of it totally. Vivek Ramaswamy is genuinely not even Christian, but he would spew Christian talking points at his rallies. I've been to them. He would say stuff about believe in God, but he wouldn't specify which God. He has a slimy way of talking around the problems, and we see the same thing with JD Vance. He has flip-flopped on most of his positions, most importantly, his support of Donald Trump, and a lot of people say that this is actually a smart move from the Trump campaign, because a lot of Americans, a lot of Republicans who were once hesitant about Donald Trump have gone through the same journey as JD Vance. They've gone from hesitant to sort of accepting him as the party's nominee, as the party's leader. So a lot of people speculate that the reason they chose JD Vance, despite the fact that he has said terrible things about Donald Trump, is because Americans might be able to relate to JD Vance's journey. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love to hear from you guys. I'm in the process of building a new background. Let me know what you guys think of this setup so far. I still have a lot to add, a lot to fix regarding the lighting. Make sure you go join the Reddit, go join the Discord, leave a like on this video, hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, have a great day. I'll be live streaming soon, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, so make sure you're there, and I'll see you.